Hello all sentient beings and welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we talk about all news, comics, and media related to the... On this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode, we review Transformers Issue 17. Tiger's Transformers Generation 2 LCD game is coming back, and we chat about Netflix's new trailer, War for Cybertron Trilogy Siege. Today is Friday, February 28th, 2020, and this is episode 170 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that caught beachcombers surfing the blue wave created by Tidal Wave. I'm your host, Charles, a.k.a. Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, a.k.a. Yakko.
Hey, how's it going?
And Daryl, the Cybertronian Beast.
Hey, how's it going? Let's talk Transformers.
You can't take Jeremy's line, Daryl.
Why not?
All right. Anyway, we start off the show by thanking our Donatreons, those lovely people who give us money on Patreon and PayPal. Thank you for continuing to support the show and helping us keep it going. If you are not a Donatreon, you can become one at transmissionspodcast.com/support. And there you will find links to sign up. You can also support the show by buying merchandise from our TeePublic store, and that is at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. And you can also check out K-Girl's TeePublic store at teepublic.com/user/superstark. She has some great designs she has done herself. She's done a lot of art for us, and we want to support her as well. One of the perks of being a Transmissions Donatron is your automatic entry into our monthly Toy Hacks gift code drawing. We have the February Toy Hacks gift code drawing coming up. That will be next week in next week's episode of Transmission, so episode 371. So you still have time to get in your entry. If you are not already a Donatron and you want to enter the contest, just send an email to contest@transmissionspodcast.com and send us a picture of the Transformer toy you would like to get stickers for. But if you are already a Donatron, you don't have to do any of that. You are automatically entered. And you could also just sign up and become a Donatron, and that would also get you entry. So, also coming up next Monday, March 2nd, we've got episode 18 of Empire of Rust, the Transformers RPG podcast. This episode is titled, How High Does the Metal Kite Fly? And we'll find out what's happening with Magnum about to get kidnapped. So we'll see, does he get captured or does he escape? So you'll have to find out in next week's episode. And the last bit of news before we get into the show, Jeremy has done a guest turn on another podcast. Jeremy, tell us about it.
Yeah, I was on the Play Comics podcast. It's a show about comics and video games based on the comics. When I came on, we talked about the Beast Wars show and the horrible PlayStation 1 Beast Wars game. So it was a lot of fun. I really liked revisiting Beast Wars, and we actually recorded it like a few days after we had recorded our show, like reviewing a Beast Wars episode. So it was kind of like I was in the mind space for Beast Wars, and it was great. And then I had to play the awful game. But it was a fun conversation. Always happy to spread the word of Transmissions everywhere.
Thank you for being our evangelist.
Spreading the good word.
All right, let's jump right into some comics news. Okay, so a lot of artists have been putting some cool artwork up on Twitter that shows the process of generating pages for the recent IDW Transformers comics. We've got Anna Melkova, who put up, she was celebrating her 100th page of Transformers comics that she has drawn. And she's got pages from 11, 14, 15, and 16 on her Twitter so that you can see the process she goes through. We had Tyler Blazinski talking about his process with developing the relationship with the Constructicons and thinking of them as a sibling relationship. So he talks a little bit about that on Twitter. That was in advance of Galaxies number 4 dropping last week. We have Sarah Peter Drew O'Shea showing the transformation of the art she did for the Valentine's Day comic, with a page going from pencils to inks to flats to colors. So that's a really cool transformation and progression there. So you can check that out. And we have the cover art for EJ Sue's done cover art for issue 21, which will be out in a few months. And you can see his pencils to inks to color to the full color image there. It's funny because this cover, this is an upcoming issue. I see the Time Warrior on this cover as one of the characters. We got Beachcomber and...
Oh, I was wondering, I didn't see the buttons.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we got Beachcomber, we've got Geomodus, one of the newer characters introduced in the new continuity. I don't know who the guy in the back is, but the guy in the front is totally the Time Warrior. So if you from back in the 80s, the little digital watch that turned into a robot. It was It was a real watch that you wore on your wrist, and it turned into a robot.
It was made by Takara.
Yep.
I'm wondering, what kind of backstory, because this guy's had no fiction whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what he does.
I want him to be able to travel through time.
I know. And then this, I don't know if you're going to get into it in solicits or not, but it has the tagline, Rise of the Decepticons.
Yeah.
Just right under the title, Transformers. And in the new IDW box on the left of the issue number, they have a little Bumblebee sketch. I think that's a nice touch, kind of harkening back to the old Marvel days.
Yeah, that's cool. I actually I don't know if I didn't notice it on previous issues of Transformers, but the issue 17 that we're going to review today, it has Light Bright in the corner above the issue number. Oh
yeah, I didn't notice that was in the issue. Yeah.
So I don't know if this is. I have to go back and check what they had in issue 16, or if we're just starting.
I know the Valentine's issue started the new number circle thing,
mm-hmm.
but issue 17 still has the older version, but it has a circle.
Yeah. Anyway, as Jeremy alluded to, the next bit of news is solicits for May 2020. Yeah, we'll put the link in the show notes, but there are some spoilers, so you might not want to check it out. But first up, of course, My Little Pony Transformers crossover. So they're dropping all 4 issues of...
It's a weekly.
Yeah, in within the month of May. So every week in May, you're going to get a My Little Pony Transformers comic. Maybe.
Can you hear the air quotes?
Yeah. Cross your fingers. We'll see if they stay on schedule. But that's the current. That's what they're teasing. They're saying they're going to drop a new issue every week in May. So I'll believe it when I see it. We've also got Transformers versus the Terminator number 3, Transformers 84 Secrets and Lies number 2, Transformers Galaxies number 9, and Transformers number 21, which we just talked about the cover with the Time Warrior. Yeah, lots of comics, lots of Transformers comics coming in May. Hopefully the release schedule catches up, because they're a bit behind, particularly in Galaxies. So they've got about 4 issues of Galaxies to put out before May, and there's only 2 months now. Get cracking. All right, let's move on to our comic review. Okay, and today we are reviewing Transformers number 17, The Change in Your Nature, Part 5. Written by Brian Ruckley, art by Anna Malkova, pages 1 and 8 through 20, and Bethany McGuire-Smith, pages 2 to 7. Colors by Joanna LaFuente, pages 1 and 8 through 20, and John Paul Bove, pages 2 to 7. Letters by Jake M. Wood and Neil Uyetake. And editors are David Marriott and Tom Waltz. And we have 3 covers this week. The first cover is Megatron overlaid over the entire galaxy with Cybertron in the foreground. Looks like it's the cracking and like a schism because Civil War is coming. Megatron is starting Civil War. That's art by Livio Ramondelli. Cover B by Brendan Cahill, art by Brendan Cahill, colors by Josh Burcham. That's Megatron kind of in shadow, looking down, contemplating about what he's about to do, with Optimus Prime and Elita 1 in kind of a background. The retailer incentive cover is Two-Faced Megatron by art by Marcelo Mater. And so these are all, I think these are all cool cover images. Although the interesting thing is that Megatron does not actually appear in the comic at all, and these all focus on Megatron.
I was noticing, I was looking through the wiki, and it says that the original solicits had a Megatron-focused story.
Ah.
And obviously, he's not even in the book.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, which cover do you like?
The Marcelo one, I think, is just fantastic. Just kind of, it goes to the whole nature of the Decepticons with them kind of pulling off a mask, revealing his true nature. I think it's just such a great image and kind of, great meaning behind it.
Mm-hmm. Daryl, what do you think?
I have to agree. The Marcelo Matera one is simply stunning. I really like the symbolism of that one. But that's a retailer, incentive one. So it's not the one that I ended up buying. I did get the yellow Megatron one. So the cover B, that's the one I ended up buying. But man, that Megatron one just looks great.
Yeah, I'm going to make it unanimous and say that the retailer incentive, the Megatron cover, that's really nice. Yeah, that the expression on his face and then removing the mask, it perfectly captures the duplicitousness of Megatron and the Decepticons. Since my store doesn't get variant covers anymore, I just got the Livio Ramondelli one, is the cover A. Which is still a cool cover, but I think the retailer incentive takes a cake here. All right, let's get into the story. The Rise team, led by Slipstream, has successfully completed their mission as seen last issue. They broke into a Titan network hub and deployed a virus to shut down most of the Titans on Cybertron. Then they used their Titan speaker Skystalker to give the Titan Vigilum, in ship mode in orbit around Cybertron, a new mission. Before more security arrives, Slipstream orders a retreat, much to Astrotrain's disappointment. Meanwhile, at the ruins of the War of the Threefold Spark Memorial Crater, Cyclonus is lost in thought. The ghost bots of his past continue to argue over how best to move forward. Cyclonus has sworn off violence after the war, but he is tortured by the past memories, and some of his ghosts urge him to lash out in the present. He is interrupted by Hotspot, whose crew is tasked with cleaning up the crater. Hotspot tells Cyclonus he has to leave since the area has been closed off by security during the cleanup. Before he leaves, Cyclonus asks Hotspot if he knows who destroyed the memorial. Hotspot answers that he heard it was Sixshot, a prominent member of the Rise. Now Cyclonus has a target for his anger and frustration. Above Cybertron on the winged moon, Wheeljack has found the Energon siphon the Rise used to transmit Energon to their secret base on the surface. They come to the conclusion that a member of the Rise must be secretly working on the moon, and they have to discover who it is. Gears gets to work dismantling the Energon siphon and triggers an explosion, escaping the moon's low gravity and blowing himself into space. Wheeljack is ready to rescue his mentor again and enlists the aid of Huffer to give him a lift and launch Wheeljack into space to retrieve Gears. Wheeljack remains tethered to the moon and pulls Gears back without incident. As Wheeljack and Gears return to the moon's surface, they are greeted by Cosmos, who comes in to report a Titan is approaching the moon. Wheeljack assumes it is Lodestar, the Titan ship that recently arrived home after touring Sentinel Prime around the galaxy. But Cosmos says it isn't her. On the ground, Blaster's team is monitoring the Titan network and have discovered something that has gone terribly wrong. All the Titans on the network are shut down, and the only active one, Vigilum, has gone rogue without a speaker. They contact Lightbright, the Titan speaker aboard Lodestar, the only active Titan, which is still in orbit around Cybertron. They tell Lightbright and Lodestar they have to intercept Vigilum and bring him back in line. Lightbright springs into action and interfaces with her Titan partner, Lodestar, to move in. Lodestar tries to contact Vigilum, but he ignores her. He just starts reciting the writings of Codexa regarding how Cybertronians viewed the Titans of the past and how their awesome power was used to drive Cybertron's expansion across the galaxy. Lodestar continues to hail Vigilum and order him to stand down, but he just keeps reciting verses as he turns and opens fire. Vigilum is an ancient war titan armed to the teeth, and Lodestar is no match for him. His attack disables her momentarily, and Vigilum continues his course towards the moon. On the moon's surface, Wheeljack sees the danger and orders everyone away from the space elevator tethering the moon to Cybertron. Vigilum transforms to bot mode and begins destroying the tether. In the meantime, Lightbright manages to regain navigation control of Lodestar, and they set course for Vigilum in a last desperate attempt to stop him. But Lodestar's weaponry is not enough. Vigilum easily repels her, and she crashes to the moon, completely wrecked. Inside, Lightbright is injured but thrown clear in the crash, still alive. With her last moment of consciousness, Lodestar tells Lightbright that the tether is falling, destroyed by Vigilum. To be continued. So this was a fairly action-packed issue. A lot of it felt very Star Trek-y to me, like two massive ships battling each other. It's kind of like ship-to-ship combat in space. And I thought it was interesting. I liked the references. We just did the Valentine's Day issue a couple weeks ago, so the reference to Gears getting blasted into space that's a nice continuity. So kudos to the editors there for keeping that across the books, even though I think this book was supposed to be out earlier. So we got the joke came before the actual event here. I liked we get a little bit more focus on the Titans. So, Titans are similar to how they were expressed in the previous IDW continuity. So it's nice to see that continuity there. The one thing that has me a little bit, I guess, criticizing the story, though, is like this is supposed to be, I guess, the end of this arc, the change in your nature. But it just feels kind of like a disconnected middle chapter. Like we don't really get the motivation for why Vigilum is actually, like we got the last issue that the Rise had a Titan speaker so they could contact Vigilum, but why is Vigilum suddenly turning evil for the Rise? Like, other than the fact that Vigilum, the character, was in the last IDW continuity and was a bad guy, why is this one just decides to do what the Rise wants and destroy Cybertron's moon energon transference thing? So I hope that's expanded on more in the next issue, and how this helps Megatron achieve his goals by basically fomenting this destruction here. But so, I mean, just as a conclusion to a story arc, this feels a little bit lacking because we don't really tie in the plot threads together. But I did like the bit with Cyclonus. I also liked how when we see Astro Train, he's much bigger than the other bots because he turns into basically a train that can carry them all away. So a little bit a nod to actual scale here, so that's cool. But yeah, I mean, it just felt it was a very action-packed, fast-paced issue, but I didn't feel like it was a good end point for this particular story arc. So, Daryl, what did you think? Was there enough action in this issue?
I enjoyed the action. Yeah, I thought it was good. Art-wise, I want to say that I think Anna Malkova's really starting to develop a really good style here for herself, and the pages by Bethany McGuire Smith were quite different than Anna Malkova's. You could really tell the difference between the two art styles, and I think I preferred Anna's over Bethany's. I thought the story was good. We got introduced to I don't remember meeting this other city speaker before. So Lightbright, right? So it's I think it's nice to get a new city speaker. But so that's pretty cool. I like the idea that there's a rogue ship out there and that they're just massive and just capable of such destruction. So, one of these things going rogue is just a incredibly big problem. And what the possible issue could be here. What's with this tower? What's with this spire that is so important? You get to see Vigilum in robot mode, which I think did not happen at all in the last series. So, so that's kind of fun. I thought it was good.
So the space elevator thing, so you can be forgiven for not remembering this because this is a callback to like the first couple of issues of the series where when Bumblebee was talking to Rubble. Remember Rubble? He's dead. But when Bumblebee was introducing Rubble to to Cybertron, one of the things was that this moon is now like an energon harvesting station, and they transfer energy through this giant space elevator back down to the surface. So there was like a long tether connecting the surface of Cybertron,
physically connecting it.
Yeah. To the moon. So
this is a different moon. So, this is not the same place where the Constructicons are gathering energon.
They're on a whole nother planet.
Okay, yeah, no, I had no idea that was what it was. That'll be interesting to see what becomes of this.
They're basically like shutting down their steady supply of energon to the planet,
right?
For reasons.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what becomes of this and where this goes. Is anybody still investigating the death of Brainstorm anymore? Is that just gone? What about Rubble? Is he, is anyone concerned about what happened to him? Or is that just getting put to the wayside because of the impending civil war?
A couple of issues ago, we did have Prime told Bumblebee, we think Frenzy killed Brainstorm, and we think Rubble discovered Quake killing the Void Scavenger. So
solved.
The mystery solved, but there's not enough evidence to convict. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I hope that's still I guess events are quickening now, so maybe that's not much of an issue anymore.
No, but I'm a sucker for a book with action, so this definitely had some action, and I was happy with the amount. Yeah.
Cool. Jeremy, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. It took me a second, and I had to actually go back and look. I was like, Lightbright sounds familiar, looks familiar. Where do I know this character from? And then it took me a while to go back and realize that it was someone from the other continuity. Mm-hmm. She was the city speaker, so I like that bringing those elements back in. I don't know. I enjoyed it, but also like what you're saying. This is like part 5, supposed to be the end of an arc, and it doesn't really seem like an ending. Very much you need to know what happens in the next issue to get the ending. Mm-hmm. So maybe it'll be a 6-issue arc. I don't know. With the fact that this was supposed to be a Megatron focused issue originally, and it's not. Obviously something changed, but I think the Megatron issue was supposed to be the clear ending to the arc. I like the Cyclonus stuff, and I wish that it got more pages because I want to know where that's going.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Titan stuff, but I'm really curious about what they're going to do with Cyclonius. That's I don't know. That's kind of where my interests are at the moment. But I don't know. I have no issues at all with the art on either artist. I think they both did a good job. Colors are great. So this does, even though it doesn't feel like the end of an arc, it does continue the upswing in enjoyment of the series the last few issues.
Yeah, and I didn't mention the art, but I'll agree with what both you guys said. Anna Malkova and Bethany McGuire Smith, I think, are great additions to the stable of IDW Transformers artists, and they've their art has continued to improve over the course of the issues they've contributed to.
I will say, not being forced to draw in the 5mm holes and stuff really helps.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I mean, Cyclonus in particular looks really nice, and even though he is loosely based on his, I guess, Combiner Wars toy, but he still looks very unique here. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this issue, to the next few issues. As we mentioned in the solicits, it looks like actual Decepticons are on the horizon pretty soon. Maybe we'll actually get Autobots too. I mean, it feels like the only Autobots we've had are Optimus Prime and Sentinel Prime. Like everyone else seems to just be neutrals. Like no one is actually wearing an Autobot badge except for really even I only see, or I should not, Optimus Prime, Orion Pax. Orion Pax is the only guy I see actually wearing an Autobot badge. Not even Sentinel Prime is wearing an Autobot insignia. So I wonder if that's going to be expanded on. So, but yeah, so that was Transformers number 17, and we will move on to Transformers media news.
All right, in media news this week, we have a little bit of stuff about the Transformers trading card game. It's getting we talked about it a little bit, but this is the Titan Masters Attack Fortress Maximus play deck, and we've got some imagery from it. This is showing off Emissary and some other components of the deck, including the Fortress Maximus card, and the ability to, and how that's going to work in the game. So if you wanted to actually, put a Fortress Maximus into play, you can do that. It's expected to drop on April the 17th, so look for that in stores at the time. So if you're looking for that, that's cool.
And it's funny, they did the double headmaster gimmick in the card form. So like the emissary card on one side is the robot mode and the other side is Cerebros's head, and then the Cerebros card on one side is Fortress Maximus's head, and then the other side is Cerebros from just the chest down. So you have to have the emissary card for the head to like make him do stuff, and then same with Fortress Maximus. He's like just from the chest down. So it's weird. But
I can see it being a tough, combo to pull off. But that's the point, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Pretty cool bit of news that came out of the New York Toy Fair. And this I think it got released in images just before. But anyway, remember Tiger handheld games? These were the things that came out and you could buy just before Game Boy kind of stole all the thunder. Well, we're getting one again, and this is a Transformers Generation 2 Tiger handheld game, and yeah, it's exactly the way you think you remember it. I remember having all kinds of these things, at least 2 or 3, and they're all broken and gone. But I'm looking forward to this. It's going to retail for $15 in the US, so I expect it to be about $47 here in Canada. It's going to be available in the fall, and yeah, I don't see if it's specified to be exclusive at a store, but should be available pretty much everywhere. Apparently, Tiger is going to be bringing back the game The Little Mermaid, X-Men Project X, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and of course the one we just talked about, Transformers Generation 2. Guys, at $15, I mean, I'm in. Are you?
Yeah, I kind of have to buy this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I am slightly offended that the transform button says convert. If you look at the image of the Prime, is it supposed to be like a Toys R Us reference there?
I think it's supposed to say Optimus.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I forgot that the G2 Optimus had that there. I just saw the us.
He's in disguise, so that he has his name plastered on the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the graphics there. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's the best in 1983 technology.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to trying this. I think it'll be fun.
In the 90s.
Next up, we've got some talk about the... remember, we were talking about it before, where Hasbro purchased Entertainment One. We were talking about it because with Entertainment One, they also got that record label, Death Row Records, right? So that became some kind of funny news. And yeah, so Entertainment One is going to be producing TV and movie content based on Transformers. All right, interesting. Doesn't say anything specific, so don't get your hopes up for any kind of like Last Stand of the Wreckers stuff that, you know, everyone's been kind of begging for. But they're looking to create G.I. Joe, Transformers, Dungeons and Dragons, Power Rangers, and Action Man are all being considered for TV and or film adaptations by the company. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, they're looking for nothing is scheduled for 2020, but 2021 is when they're kind of looking to have everything kind of, you know, make its way out. So we got a little bit of time to wait, but hey, I mean, they just bought the company, right? So, you know,
well, you got the Netflix.
And Netflix is coming out this year, so
hopefully they have John Barber's number on speed dial for the Action Man series.
Right.
I want Action Man Cup buddy comedy.
So moving on, we've got some little information about that came out of the Toy Fair Investor Preview event, and a lot of business talking business and more business news. But what kind of got mentioned near the end was that there's going to be a new console game for the Switch and a VR game that's titled Transformers Doom of Cybertron. So that's kind of cool. Our Nintendo Switch correspondent has no knowledge of this, so I'm not going to throw it to them. And but we will endeavor to find out more information about this as when it comes out. We really don't have a lot of information other than that the game will likely feature Cyberverse and Evergreen aesthetics, and may even be part of the Cyberverse Season 3. So that's, you know, Cyberverse stuff. They're saying the game will be released on Nintendo Switch, and no info on whether it'll come out on anything else. So it's a partnership with Nintendo right now. So yeah, that's kind of fun.
I imagine if it runs on the Switch, they can easily port it to anything else. So
right.
Well, you are the software engineer.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you had a doctorate in something.
Something, yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Switch uses, I believe the Switch has like Unity or Unreal Engine. Like they're a lot of the major video game software engines are already running pretty smoothly on the Switch. So as long as you have something that's not super graphics intensive, if you can get it to run on the Switch, you can pretty much run it anywhere.
Well, we'll keep everyone posted as to what we find out about that, because that would be kind of fun. Next up, a couple Twitter feeds got going from the Cyberverse creative team, and they wanted to talk about ideas we didn't do in seasons 1 and 2. So that was kind of cool. Some of the highlights that they mentioned, this was a Twitter feed from Zach Atkinson. This was started by Randolph Hurd. So people who contributed were Zach Atkinson, May Cat, Gavin High and Dan Salgarolo. And so some of the highlights of it were a whole planet full of Cheetors. That would have been fun. Everything on Cybertron having the ability to transform buildings, household objects, etc. Bumblebee rebooting the Ark and saving everyone at the end of Season 1, but in the process that would have wiped out all his memories of Season 1. That'd have been interesting. A blue Grimlock being one of the captains we see in the multiverse. That would have, I mean, they could have easily done that. I don't see why they couldn't have done that. And the scene in McAdam's old oil house with Jazz playing a cyber base. These guys are
Robots in Disguise reference.
These guys are deep into the comics. Yeah.
Yet no Lost Light reference on the multiverse.
No. Not yet.
At least have a Captain Rodimus. Come on.
So yeah, so any of those were kind of fun. I like it when they mention when shows like this kind of go into, we were thinking about this. This was on the table, because it kind of answers questions that they might get at conventions. Why didn't you, do a blue Grimlock? I'm like, well, we thought about it, but it just didn't fit where we were going to do. So yeah, so that's kind of neat. And speaking of Cyberverse season 3, it has started to air internationally. So almost all the episodes apparently have aired in the UK, which is crazy because they just started coming out. But one of the writers, May Cat, who I just mentioned in the previous story, has gone on Twitter and has urged people in the US to watch it on Cartoon Network. Use the app, watch it on Hasbro's YouTube, because they don't get ratings if you watch it online, through other means. Hasbro's YouTube, I personally have a problem with because it's region locked and they suck. So, but yeah, definitely, when they come on TV, watch them because they need the ratings.
When we were on the stream, the RFC stream, I was talking to Chris McFeely about this, and he said that they aired basically every day last week. They aired an hour block of Cyberverse on this channel in the UK. So you had 4 episodes every day for 5 days in the week. So
that's crazy.
They burned off 20 episodes last week, and they probably burned off the rest this week.
Wow. Well, there you go. But yeah, so they should be hitting all the other, cartoon stations in the next little while. Make sure you watch them. Set your DVRs, because if your DVR is recording it, that counts as a watch. So, and lastly, out of New York Toy Fair, we've got a Siege, Netflix shows War for Cybertron Trilogy Siege trailer. So that's a really long title, but it boils down to we've got a cool little trailer to watch, and this is for the Netflix show of Transformers Siege. Yeah. So, you guys all watch this?
Yep.
Great. What are your thoughts? I mean, personally, I'm looking at it. I'm liking the aesthetics. It looks cool. It looks, right off the bat, it looks way better than the Machinima series, which wasn't a really high bar to hit. There are some nitpicks that you could make, just off the trailer. All in all, I think it's been really cool just to see. The frame rate's great, and that's going to be expected. I'm pretty excited for where this story's going to go. Jeremy?
I think it has a really interesting look to it where, it is CG animated, but it has, I don't know if it's it's not cel shading, but it has a little bit of a drawn look in places. Maybe it's on some of the smaller features or something, but I don't know. It definitely looks dark. I'm wondering what's going on with Ultra Magnus in this. It's clear Alita 1 and Optimus have a relationship. So I don't know. It looks really good, and I'm glad that they paid for a couple extra rendering machines from the Machinima ones. Because like you said, it does look really smooth. I'm excited to see it. I hate that it's only going to be like 6 episodes, I think.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
But, if it's good storytelling, I'm really looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
And being Netflix, we should get them all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Charles, what were your thoughts?
I agree. I'm looking forward to this. I did like the little the animation quality looks really nice. Seeing revisiting Optimus Prime and Elita 1, I hope that kind of humanizes Optimus Prime. I think he's been he's been fairly wooden, I think, in past incarnations. So I'd like to see a little bit more, down to humanizing Prime is more than just the kind of figurehead for the Autobots. Okay. So I hope we'd get some of that. I like how they're setting it up as a pretty, I think, a standard war story. So, but I see even the Autobots getting criticized for not for taking things too far to win the conflict. So I'm curious. I'm definitely intrigued. The one thing that and they mentioned this in the Hasbro presentation at Toy Fair, FJ DeSanto, the showrunner, said that they actually used the toy models as like they used the engineering toy models, CAD models, to model the animation in the show, which I think is really interesting. Although this is a double-edged sword here, because we've already complained in the comics about the 5mm peg holes showing up in the art. So I hope that they're not going that route with the models.
I mean, in some of the frames, if you look at them, you can see the blast effect pegs and stuff.
Yeah, in one of the scenes with Ultra Magnus, you can see the 5mm pegs on his pylons on his shoulders. So yeah, so they're there, and that's
okay.
Yeah.
Burst my bubble.
Yeah.
I will say one of my issues with using the toy models and we have yet to really see how it works out, but my fears would be just the movements of the characters would look kind of like stop motion, like you are using the toys.
Mm-hmm.
And I would expect, a more natural movement from the characters.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm still optimistic, but we'll see how it turns out. It's definitely going to be better than the Machinima series, but, yeah, we'll have to see, but I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, that will do it for media news this week.
All right. Let's move on to convention news.
All right. One thing for TFCon Orlando 2020, they have announced that Vince DiCola is going to be attending. It's like killing me that I can't make this convention. You got so many great G1 names there. Vince DiCola obviously did the score for Transformers the movie. He will be there all weekend signing for fans, and I would imagine there's going to be a panel or something with him. But yeah, this is the one that really is kind of like hurting me that I can't go. That is all we got for convention news this week.
All right, and we will finish up the show with a little bit of feedback. And our favorite voicemailer, John Levengood, has sent in another question reacting to our discussion from last week.
Hi guys, John 4X7 here again. With the discovery of the Transformers cookies, my question for you guys is Transformers licensing gone too far? I mean, personally, I'm on the fence about it. If I saw Transformers cereal or even Transformers hot dogs in the store, I probably would buy them. But, and I do understand Transformers is a kid's brand, and, and most of the products are aimed at kids, but, I mean, with some notable exceptions. But, I really am kind of curious to what your guys' opinions on it is. Transformers licensing going too far? Hope to hear from you soon. Bye.
All right. Well, I don't think Transformers licensing has really gone. I mean, it's it's not as far as it's gone in the 80s. Like the 80s, back in the heyday, you had Transformers on everything. So I don't think we're seeing anything crazy these days compared to what we've already been getting for the last 35 years. Like I had Transformers bed sheets. There was Transformers alarm clock, Transformers wall clock with Snarl. I mean,
I have a TV tray.
Yeah.
Cookie jar.
Yeah, I mean, so it's been there for a while. I mean, if the licensing has gone too far, it went too far from the start, and it's just been there. It's been there ever since. But yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, Transformers. I mean, that's the. I mean, you have to come to grips with being a fan of a product like this. It's a commodity that's just going to be licensed and merchandised out the butt. I mean, that's just how it is.
Transformers microwave popcorn watches these kernels convert into fluffy, white, delicious morsels.
I mean, we had Spaceballs use Transformers merchandise for their merchandising joke. So I think it's always been there. John, yeah, I mean, I hope you're used to it, because it's going to continue.
Personally, I don't think Transformers merchandise comes even close to the juggernaut that is Star Wars merchandise. So, this is the thing it is. I mean, Transformers is a brand that wants to sell stuff, and yeah, sure, they want to sell toys and comics, and they want to sell their show because it's that's the brand. But all these little accessories and bits and pieces with it, that's the icing on the cake, the bonus stuff that they want to really make the margins on. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we just mentioned the Time Warrior earlier in the episode. That was another piece of merchandise where you had a wristwatch Transformer. Mm-hmm. And we had new watches just last year. Then we had those new watch figures that were Optimus Prime.
That was a really expensive one, yeah.
Yeah.
The figure, I mean, the watch itself didn't transform. It just went inside the middle of the Optimus figure.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it's Transformers is merchandising, and merchandising is Transformers. So I mean the whole genesis of Transformers was the Reagan administration deregulating children's cartoons. So it's inexorably tied to commercialization. It is what it is. All right. Well, that's all the feedback for this week, and that'll do it for this episode of Transmissions. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening to this episode of Transmissions. But just because this episode is over doesn't mean the Transformers fun has to stop. Join us and other Transformers fans on our Discord chat server by visiting transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. If you would like to learn more about how you could support the Transmissions Podcast, just visit transmissionspodcast.com/support. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
You got your My Little Pony and my Transformers. You got your Transformers and My Little Pony and...
You got 14 years of Rick and Morty to look forward to, Daryl.
14 years. Let's do it.